Monroe County Reporters. Here are your hosts, Jason Harwood and Jacob Litton.
Welcome to another episode of Talking Grit. It is long time no see for both you and I, and for the people that listen to us. Jacob, I haven't seen you since we've done the last podcast. So how you been?
Good. Yeah, it's been like a week. Very late, for this recap episode. For one reason or another, just couldn't get together. Timing was not right.
No, family stuff came up for me the last couple days. Preston's got exams coming up. I had to work with him. My mom's birthday was in there, and then you couldn't do over the weekend. So it is what it is. But we're here. We've been wanting to talk about this Lions victory. In some ways, one of the best victories of the year. I don't know what your opinion on it is that, but I think partly because of my expectations being a little bit lower going into the game, that I was very pleasantly surprised by this game. How did you feel after this game?
It felt good to win. It felt good to win in prime time. My my expectations were tempered a little bit. We knew obviously that the Cowboys defense had not been great for most of the year, but they had been looking up. They were on a hot streak. They were a
Hmm.
hot team, and we came in and took them out. It was great. It was a great win. That being said, we need to go back to back, right? I'm sick
I
of the
know.
win one, lose one, win one, lose one. And
Yep.
it just seems like that is the general consensus. People felt really good after the Bengals win, and then we lose the Chiefs. We don't look very impressive against the Chiefs. Then we come back, really good win against the Buccaneers going into the bye week. Then we come out flat and lose the Vikings. We beat the Commanders, we lose the Eagles. Every time we win, everybody feels pretty good after the win, right? And
Hmm.
it seems like with every loss, it's just that it just keeps this roller coaster is getting too much. And now, this is huge for our playoff chances. Obviously, we really need to get that one done and just take it one game at a time. This one, because we won that game, this one may not hold as much weight, but this is a prime game against a great team that you know, we need to be able to compete and win that game. Obviously, we'll talk about that more in our Rams preview episode, but
Yeah,
that's
that's
where my
coming
head's
up.
at right now.
Yeah. So I'm going to challenge you a little bit on your win one, lose one, feeling good, because I could tell you after the Giants win, I did not feel good. So it was like 3 weeks of feeling bad in a row. We lost to Philadelphia, lost one against the Giants, but that took overtime in a game that we just did not play well in, and then obviously lose on Thanksgiving Day. So I went like 3 weeks where I was just like feeling pretty down about it. Um, Not like giving
True,
up
but
on.
the general consensus, especially after Jameer Gibbs had that huge play in overtime, it
Yes.
kind of like made people forget that this was the Giants that were playing with Jameis Winston, and
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think you couple all that with the Bears just seemed to not lose, and they kept winning all these last second games, and just putting a little distance in between us. That it didn't leave good vibes for a lot of us. Plus, you figure with the tight end injuries and stuff, it was just a lot of bad things. I know a lot of people are, you know, the crazies come out and want to fire Dan Campbell, want to fire Brad Holmes. Uh, I'm not saying they're not without their fault, and they don't, and they should have to answer for some of the stuff that goes on with the team. But I also don't expect everybody to be perfect all the time. Dan Campbell is the best coach this team has ever had, in my opinion, and doesn't mean that he gets a free pass on every decision he makes. Yes, he should be questioned, and he will take it like a man and take those questions. However, you also need to step back and sometimes just be grateful of the time that we're in. We get one more win, right, Jacob, and we're above 500. That'll be when have we been above 500 3 seasons in a row? Never in my
yeah,
lifetime.
right, yeah,
So, you got. I'm not saying that. Hey, we not taking just uh mental victories and just be like, oh, well, we kept it close. Like, this is not that Lions team. We need to win these games. That's this coming up week. And we will we're going to record on Thursday night this week. We're going to have Sheriff Joe Baggs, who was on with us last year because we played the Rams in the opener. So he was actually our first guest that we had, from the other team that we ever did on this podcast. So it'd be great to
Right.
catch up with him. He was awesome, very knowledgeable, just a fun personality, just a fun guy. So I really look forward to hooking back up with him, and that'll be on Thursday night. Um, but I want to remind everybody, follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Jacob, we just hit our 1900th subscriber on YouTube today, number 1900, right on the dot. It took a little bit, a couple days.
Wow.
It was sitting on 1899 for a while. It was kind of like we should put a short up there just to get something up there. But
Right, right. I
no,
was not able to put any shorts up of the Thursday night game. I was too busy watching that with the boys, and yeah,
yep,
there was a
I know,
lot of things, a lot of post-worthy moments though.
yep, yeah. There were, and that was a fun game, and I can't wait to talk about it because I really wish. It was honestly like, I know that some of us have like turned the page, like we're on to the Rams right now. But honestly, I think this Cowboys game needs to be looked at, and we're going to look at the defense. Obviously, we had a really good defensive performance for I'd say a majority of this game. There were a few drives that we could have did better on, but I think for a lot of us, if we could repeat this performance against Stafford, 5 sacks, 3 turnovers, we take it 10 times out of 10, right?
Yeah, right. I don't
Um,
know with the yardage in terms of everything like that might look differently when you give that up to the Rams, but
yeah. No, but you know what? Our special teams look good, and um, you know, therefore we gave them a longer field. It's like some of that stuff,
right,
like where the hidden yardage is that special teams. Like if you think about the Vikings, we kept giving them really good field position. That's why all their stats look bad because offensive stats look bad because they were starting on you know, positive field position, either us turning it over or them getting very good special teams returns. We were able to keep Turpin in line, which was very good.
right. Are you ready to get into it or what? What do we got?
Yeah, let's do this. So let's talk a little transactions. Let's get everybody caught up, and then I'm going to touch base. Dan Paska's in here. Got another at WM. Was it WMW2? We'll get to the comments in just a second, but let's get everybody caught up with the transactions since our last podcast. So we signed Nick Whiteside back to the active roster. Unfortunately, I had to place tight end Brock Wright on injured reserve, which that's kind of old news for most of us, but since the last podcast, we haven't really updated you on that. Uh, I'm going to let you pronounce his name. What was it, Jay? I always say it wrong.
So the safety we signed, DeMonte Casey
Yes. There we go.
and defensive lineman Pat O'Connor, 2 additions to the practice squad, and we
Mhm.
released wide receiver Andrew Armstrong from the practice squad.
Yep.
Short lived for Andrew
yeah,
Armstrong.
it was very, very short lived. As far as the safety, obviously Branch is, and I want to talk to you a little bit about that here. Brian Branch they have not put him on the IR yet, which I find curious. Like I don't know what the holdup is there. Like, are we getting a little bit of hope that he's not going to be placed on IR? But from all reports, he tore his ACL, so he has to be put on IR. But I'm kind of surprised why they haven't done that
Achilles,
yet.
right?
Yeah, it's like what did I say?
Yeah.
ACL?
You said
Yeah,
ACL, but right.
yeah,
Because
it was
that's what I was
Achilles.
thinking too, is like, if it's just, I mean, what else could you have done to your Achilles that would even make like a closer return that he could come back this year?
Yeah,
Pretty much any sort of rupture or any kind of thing that you could do to it would be out for the season.
right. Even if it's a partial tear, you would still not risk him, tearing the rest of the way.
Right.
Like I mean, outside of maybe playing in the Super Bowl, that I could see, guy doing that. But even then, like you're one step away from tearing it, especially on like this turf that they play on.
Do you think he's talked to Aaron Rodgers about his medical methods?
I don't.
Like, is that what
Did you see my tweet? Because I think someone said something about like I was like, you just see Aaron Rodgers, doctor, you'll be back by playoffs, baby.
Nice.
Yeah. He's a little younger than Aaron Rodgers, maybe even sooner. That might be like a
Quicker, right.
2-week injury. If you go over
Maybe
to
he's not going to be out
Germany,
at all.
get those stem cells, you're good, man. You're real good. So you're saying there's a chance. All right. So we signed Arthur Millette back to the active roster. We waived tight end Ross Dwelly. Ferkser had been he like doubled his snaps last week. I was still surprised that we dropped a tight end because we're very shorthanded at tight end. So I
Right.
don't. I
Yeah, I was
very
very surprised by that move.
very curious how we're going to handle that. And another thing that's in the news right now is Burkett is reporting tight end coach Tyler Roll is going to take the OC job at Iowa State. However, Rich Silva, also beat writer, posted that that's not going to happen until after the end of the season. So it sounds like, you know, not only will we be down all our tight ends, the coach is gone too. That room would be a total mess. But it sounds like he's hanging on until the end of the season, even through playoffs if we need to. So that was good.
Yeah, I guess he was the assistant head coach there last year.
Yep.
So I mean, it
Hmm.
just makes sense for him to return.
Yep. Yeah, that's fine for all. It's too bad for us too, because from all of uh, I've seen good reports from the tight ends. Love him. I like the way when he talks and gets up there. I'm really happy with him. So I'm happy for him as a person, but sad as the Lions, losing him.
Of course.
Um, so let's talk about Brian Branch here real quick. Just so obviously injury, we don't know why he hasn't put on IR yet. But what do you think? I mean, what needs to be happen? What would you like to see in the back end now that Bryant is not going to play for the rest of the season?
Obviously, it's a huge loss.
Hmm.
Terrible. The injury happened right at the end of the fourth quarter, so it wasn't really the same as where when Kirby went out, we got to see Thomas Harper, and Harper's been playing really well in place of Kirby, and now Brian gets hurt. Thomas Harper also had a concussion, but Avante Maddox played pretty well, in play, so we've got good safety play. You know, will Demonte Casey actually, come out and show enough that he's going to be playing meaningful snaps for us? Maybe. Daniel Thomas is also there, but he, was just too small of a sample size to be able to say what the move is, what we're going to be doing at safety, right? But I mean, it looks like best case scenario is that Harper is able to play, and there's a mix of Harper Maddox out there with Kirby Joseph. Now,
Yep.
if Kirby doesn't play, then you're back to hopefully it's Harper and Maddox. If Harper doesn't play, then you're down to Maddox and Thomas. Like, there's way too many moving parts. There's way too many possibilities there. And that does concern me
Yep.
for a game coming up against the Rams, where we need good coverage and the versatility of Brian Branch, which Maddox is, able to move around and be versatile as well, but it's just not the same.
Yeah. I was wondering with the signing of Mollett, like, obviously he primarily plays nickel. They could push Amik back to the outside and that would put Rock, I know he did some safety work. So maybe they're thinking Rock is, another option at safety. That's kind of what I'm thinking is what they're gonna do. Uh
I mean, we got a
gives
really
a
long look at Rock at safety pretty much like all preseason, right?
mhm.
And then, here the season starts and I mean, I don't
Yeah,
recall him playing any snaps.
I don't remember either, but at some point, like if you say if Thomas Harper's out, ideally Harper's in there in the back end. You got Maddox up in the Brian Branch spot. I feel pretty comfortable with that. Um, it's all about Harper now. If Kirby comes back, then like we got in it. I'm hoping that Harper's back regardless, because then Kirby, because we don't know how much Kirby's going to hold up in a game, like for the full week. Kirby's going to want to play in this game against Stafford. Him and Stafford got a thing. I'd really like for
Right.
him to play, and then obviously the week after that he plays Aaron Rodgers. So Kirby's definitely going to want to be back for that game.
I mean, following social media, it seems like Kirby wants to be back. He wants to be in there every single week. And they,
Yeah.
he's just not, I don't know if he's not testing out well, whatever they're trying to make him do, whatever they're working him through, he's just not doing enough. It sucks. Really
Yeah,
sucks. And now with the branch stuff, it just makes it that much more
it does.
urgent to get him back.
I agree. Let's hit on some of these comments before we move over to special teams there, Jacob. Uh, Comment from WMW2. Brad and Dan are the best combo the Lions have had. Going to be an interesting offseason to see how they adapt. Lions are in a new place and that we haven't really been in before. And I agree with that. We kind of getting there. It'll be interesting to see how we draft. Are we going to be drafting projects and, the later rounds? Are we going to draft for people that, can help us right now? That's been a complaint about, what Brad Holmes' middle of the round strategy. So we'll see how that works out. And then I'm also curious what Dan does at OC during the offseason. That'll be a big topic, right?
Right.
I am
I don't know.
I am slightly concerned, about splitting Dan's time with. I'm confident with him being the play caller. It's a matter of like him letting other things go, whether it's a time management during the game or some other responsibilities. So we'll see.
Absolutely.
We'll see. The way we're going this year, we're riding this out. This is the way it's going to be. Hopefully, we could, he can get some time management stuff down. I thought he managed the end of the half very well last week. But sometimes I've noticed that he'll let too much time slip off before the half. I mean, he is so gung ho about like not giving the other team a chance that sometimes he doesn't conserve enough time for our offense to go and get a field goal. But luckily this time it worked out for us.
Right. Yeah. This time he did. Defense held him to a field goal, and then we were able to sneak down there and get our own field goal to even it out. So you're right. It was good.
All right. Dan says the IR pay rate is less than the 53, so he thinks it happens this week. It'll save some cap money, I guess, but we'll see how it goes. He also says, something I didn't think about. Matt Campbell just left Iowa State, who was their head coach. Where Tyler Roll's going, but Matt Campbell left to go over to Penn State. But obviously, there's probably the AD and stuff still there. They know what they're getting in Tyler Roll. They probably felt comfortable bringing him back.
That's true, but then who's the head coach at Iowa State?
I don't know. Have they hired there? I mean, they have to hire. I don't know. I guess I could look that up. But
I was going to say I have not heard of that. But I mean, you would think it would be somebody within like whoever the assistant head coach or whatever was this year, right? I mean,
yeah.
If they haven't hired a head coach yet, but they're going to offer the offensive coordinator job to somebody, that's weird.
Yeah, that would be very weird. WMW also says we need a safety boost. Better to have one of our original starts than zero. I agree. I'm hoping Kirby's back. We need to get some turnovers in that back end. That would be really nice. All right, Jacob.
How many games this year if we had our starting secondary?
How many games has Kirby played? Because Branch played it. Well, Branch got suspended for one. But was Kirby in that one? I don't think Kirby was in that one because that was the Bucks game. So we had,
but Terrion missed time. DJ Reed missed time. Like somebody's been out for almost the whole. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how many games. I don't have it in front of me, but there's been very few games that we've actually had everybody.
Yes. Yep. Good thing we had depth back there. I mean, Rocky Sin has been, godsend. He's played pretty good corner. He keeps getting face masks on the outside. They happened in the Commanders game, and it also happened in that Cowboys game. They caught the one on the Cowboys though, which was nice. But Rocky Sin was very under the radar signing, and that worked out really well.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on to special teams. Let's start with TK, right? Tom Kennedy. We've been waiting for a return guy. Apparently, he's been on our practice squad all season. And, Tom Kennedy got us in really good field position for this game. Every time he returned it, averaged 40 yards per return. It's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks to the turnovers and his returns, the average starting position for this game was the 41-yard line. Crazy. Yep. It's exactly what we've been talking about. We just need that spark. We need somebody. And, I mean, it wasn't necessarily like he was juking or whatever. He kind of was just hitting the hole. But, I mean, something about his vision and the burst that he had was awesome. He kind of got smoked by the kicker, I think, on the first one.
Yeah.
On the way out of bounds. But
that's all right. I'll take it, man. Let Aubrey go in there. Wish he would have threw off his kicking game. Because he was on fire.
See, that's the problem is that Jake Bates saw that, and Jake Bates was like, I'm going to lay the hammer on a hit, too. And that's not how that played out. He got ran over.
He did. I don't think Bates was ready for that. When I watched it, like there was another, I don't know who else was back there with him. He just
Yeah.
the crappy thing about that is it all got called back anyways. So like it could have just let him
Yeah.
run all the way back for a touchdown. I always think it's interesting, like when there's a flag on that, like we're all about player safety and stuff like that, but they just let those guys just run full speed down the field, and someone's gonna get injured when they could have just whistled that the play's dead. It's can't
Right,
go any
right.
further.
Now it's
I mean,
irrelevant. Yeah.
yeah, it's dumb, but I get it. They might wave off the flag or something after they talk, but for the most part, once they throw that flag, especially on special teams, they're going to say block in the back or some sort of holding. Um,
Right, right.
it's so hard when you play, like especially now, like uh, with the touchback coming out to 35. These kickers are kicking so long, and then the Cowboys have Aubrey, who's on another plane of existence as far as like he could kick deep and he's really accurate. Like it's
Were
really
you
hard to
aware
keep.
before this game the level that it was at?
Oh, I knew he was good. I didn't
I
know the
told you if
like.
they get to the 50, they're kicking the field goal. I knew
Yeah,
the way Ford Field is, the way it is. I knew that's what it was going to look like.
yeah.
And then obviously he's kicking 60 yarders, 55, 57. Like, I mean, and it was like, every time they got kind of past the 50, fourth and I don't even know, it's like 4th and 3 or 4th and 5. They're like, no, we'll take the 55-yard field goal because it's almost automatic.
Ironically, I think the shortest kick is the one that he almost missed. Like that was
Yes. Right.
super close. And that would have been awesome.
Funny
Jake
how that
Bates
works.
Jake Bates did pretty good except for the one that got blocked, right? And Dan Campbell didn't
Yeah.
go for it on 4th and 5. We finally took the points, right, on like a reasonable, and then, and I know in his head, Dan Campbell's like, that's why I go for it, because these are not automatic kicks, and I might as well just, taking it. But he he did. I thought Dan Campbell called a really good game as far as like when to punt, like everything that he did. I was really happy, and the half stuff was really good. Um, yeah, and
Right.
I
I mean,
was
Jack Fox only had 2 punts, and we
yep,
didn't go for it on 4th down at all. So I mean, it
nope,
wasn't, we were
nope.
taking the points or we were, using field position.
The one punt was weird. When Jack Fox had it, like Turpin's their punt returner
Yes.
too, right? Yeah. So like he did that like hand signal, and they called it an illegal. Like he threw his hand up, and then he was going to try to return it, but I don't know what he was trying to signal if he wasn't trying to signal like a fair catch there.
So this is, which I mean, it's going to come up anyway, but like when that happened is when I knew right from that moment, I was like, we're going to be talking about these refs after the game. And it wasn't even like it was that bad before, but like, so a few plays before this happened was when Jared Goff like threw the ball into the ground and then they called it a fumble on the field and like they let it play it out. I was like, what the heck are they doing? It was like blatantly obvious. It's the same kind of thing that we get screwed over with though. But then replay assist fixed it pretty quickly. It was like, no, it's incomplete. It was
Yep.
obvious, but I was like, okay, these refs kind of suck. Like, hopefully that's the worst that it's going to be. But then, this weird, like, so he called for the fair catch, right? He raises his hand, but he catches the
Mm.
ball. There's no whistle. He catches
Yeah.
it. He doesn't move right away, but there's no whistle. So then he kind of decides to, like, take off. They didn't blow the whistle except for like 3 to 4 seconds after he caught the ball.
Right.
Well, then it's a flag because he called a fair catch and then tried to return it. So then,
Hmm.
lucky for us, they started from their own 5-yard line. But then we get the safety, that
Yeah.
wasn't. And then they overturn that, like, but yes, I knew the refs were going to be a problem with that. It's like he called fair catch, he caught the ball. Why don't you blow the whistle dead right away? What are you waiting
Yeah.
for? Why do you wait for him to start returning it and then you blow the whistle and
Yeah.
throw the flag?
It was almost like the reaction of the Lions players what drew the whistle,
Right.
like because the Lions, I don't know who was the first down there, but they were like he called fair catch. They just totally stopped there instead of just blasting him.
Right.
The
That's
other
Turpin's
call.
second. That's his second improper fair catch penalty in the last like 3 weeks or something like that. It's the
Oh,
second
really?
time it's happened. Second time it's happened to him, where he's caught the ball and I don't know. He just needs to stop. If you call fair catch, just stop running. But I don't know. I
Do you
guess the
think like
alternative
he's
is you're just supposed to set
shading
yourself up
like
to be
his
blasted.
eyes, like so he could see the ball or something? Like, do you think
Maybe
he's
in
shading?
Dallas.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
Dallas with their stadium where all the sun in their face, but not in Ford Field.
Yeah. Um, And then while you're talking about it, the offsides that that was like that offsides was very similar to the one with the Steelers and Packers, right? Like Aaron Rodgers thought it was an obvious offsides, threw the ball. Same thing, Jared Goff, that was an offsides. They didn't call it. And then even beyond that, Jameson Williams that was pass interference. Like they
Yeah.
grabbed his shoulder pad and like wouldn't allow him to turn. It was just really bad.
And it only got worse. I mean, I don't have it right here, but there's a long list of calls that were really bad, that were very questionable. I thought it was funny, like so when they called it a safety, they show all the replays of this when we tackle Jack Campbell with a great sack.
Yeah.
We tackle him. It's like, no, it doesn't look like that. It's the same as a touchdown, right? If the ball is across the plane at all, then it's a safety.
Yeah.
Almost every angle that they showed looked like, yes, this is a safety. It was called a safety on the field. They took a very long look at it. Then they've got Terry McCauley, the rules analyst, on there. He says, yes, this is a safety. Looks like it's not clear. And then they come back, it's not a safety. And, they're like, wow, I don't really get that at all. And I had made a comment to the boys. I'm like, they're going to have to say something about why that wasn't a safety. And then sure enough, it was like a couple minutes later. Now they have a different camera angle. And then
Yeah.
Terry McCauley's like, oh, you know what? This is what they saw in New York. This was the correct call. I was like, the NFL made him get back on. Like, we need you to say that we did it
Yep.
right.
Yep. And that was totally an NFL. Like I knew that as soon as I saw, but even that replay was like very short, and I would have liked to seen it again. I still think it's a safety. I'm
It
still
was like
upset
by a
about it.
hair, by a
Yeah.
hair, maybe, but it was not. I don't know. I don't think you could say it was indisputable when he got hit because he got drove back. So, I mean,
Right.
if they called it that on the field, they're supposed to keep the call.
Right. Is it like the second that Jack Campbell touches him, or is it like when he's like got him in his grasp? Because that's different too, right? That's I remember Jared Goff. Remember there was a play last year where Jared Goff tried to extend over the end zone, and then he pulled the ball back. And they said when he pulled the ball back, they gave him that we got a safety. That was last season. We had a play
I
like that.
don't
That was really
remember him
weird.
pulling it back in that.
Yeah, so like he extended the ball, it was out, but then like he was pulling it back like
And
towards
they
his
called
body
it a
so it wouldn't
safety.
fumble, and they called it a safety.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't remember them. I faintly remember what you're talking about, but I don't remember us that like not going our way.
Yeah, it was inconsequential to the game, like the result of the game, but it was yeah, I just remember it because it was
Right.
so weird.
Still crap.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Every game, it's not just Lions games, man. Every game I'm watching, they're just like you talk about the Ravens game too. I mean, we don't need to get into all that because we're going to talk about the Lions here, but they are really some really 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 bad calls this year that are just totally inconsistent. All
Yes.
right, Jacob. Let's move on to the defense here. Like I mentioned earlier, 5 sacks, 3 turnovers. AQM, you've been calling for it for weeks. Get him more snaps, and lo and behold, we get in there and he gets 3 sacks in this game. Um, I'm sure you were feeling really good about yourself when that
Yeah,
happened.
right. I mean, he played 46% of the defensive snaps. Hutch still played 94%. So they did
Hmm.
dial back a little bit for Hutch. They did give him a breather on a couple of these plays. But yeah, AQM finally out there a significant amount, and he got the job done, right? He got home. As good of a job as Hutch is doing, and I know that people are still like, he had, depending on where you look at it, Hutch had 9 to 10 pressures, but did not get a sack. He was there,
Hmm.
he was almost home, but almost just is not good enough all the time. He creating
Right.
some disruption, but AQM on the other side of him gets 5 pressures, and he's able to get 3 sacks. And that made a huge difference being able to get those sacks. And some of these were like really clutch plays.
Yes. Well, I mean, this has been the difference, like between us and the past. We weren't getting turnovers and we weren't getting sacks, so they're like, it's really on the defense to stop drives, and if the other team's not making mistakes with penalties, it's really hard to keep them behind the sticks if you're not doing that. And plus, then we were letting up huge explosive plays, especially the last 3 weeks. It's been one big play after other. So we gave up some explosives in this game, but however, you could stop drives and keep them to field goals when you're getting sacks. And obviously, the turnover right after the half was massive for this game. I mean, you talk about massive because then we go and score 2 plays later. And that was the big difference between earlier in the year when we were getting turnovers, we weren't scoring. We were going 3 and out. Well, Dan Campbell put the pressure right on him. We were getting, that all happened before Dan Campbell took over the play calling. It seems, he put the pressure right on him and we were scoring.
It's funny if you noticed. He had the interview. Dan Campbell was interviewing, talking about the turnover, like right before Derek Barnes got the pick, and it was just like I think
The
Abik was
Houston
the one that
game.
got the pick last year. Yeah, okay.
No, it was Carlton
Yeah.
Davis got the
Oh, it was
one
CD.
on CJ Stroud. Yeah. Yeah. That was the Houston game. He was like, yeah, we got to get a turnover. And then, right there, like, that was so awesome. I was waiting for an interference flag because, like, this is too good to be true for us to get an interception right out the break. But we didn't get, there was no flag. It was great coverage. George Pickens, I don't know if you noticed this, but he asked for a flag on every single play. Like if there was any sort of contact, and like some of them, like we were not even touching them until after the ball had gotten there, and it was like it's annoying. I hate when they ask for penalties on every single play. It's so annoying.
Well, he was not able to get much going on offense, which I mean, really was the reason that they stalled out because CD Lamb. It always sucks when somebody gets hurt, especially when it was like that. He got a concussion. It didn't look good right away. But I mean, the day started off really bad for DJ Reed because they had DJ over CD Lamb for most of the time. He covered CD on 13 snaps. He was targeted 5 times, and he had 5 catches for 105 yards.
Yep.
And that's the most yards to a single receiver that DJ Reed has allowed in his career.
Yep.
But then, obviously, the concussion happens. So then he lines up over Pickens 24 times, and Pickens has 2 catches for 15 yards. Yep. And then, with the huge interception to seal the game. So much better later in the game than early for DJ Reed. After CD went out, George Pickens didn't have it this game. He was not much of a threat. It was Flournoy, the other receiver, that seemed to be, creating more of a problem for us.
I know. It's like we forgot him, the miscommunication between Amik and BB. However, Amik took responsibility for that.
Right.
Still not 100% convinced that, it was all on Amik on that one. It looked like he was sitting low in the zone. Like if you look like he passed off, like, and he's expecting BB. BB's looking in the end zone, or in the backfield, and the wide receiver's just wide open. That was bad. That was the worst drive. So that was a fourth quarter drive, 4 plays, 70 yards. They start with a 12-yard run, 11-yard run, give up a 5-yard pass, and a 42 yard pass to Flournoy. And that was like, okay. I started to get a little worried because that's not what was happening in the first half of the game. And that brought the score to 30-27. So it got them within a field goal at that point. And it was a bang bang drive, and that's why I don't like 4 plays, 70 yards. That sucks.
Right. Yeah, that was huge, and we needed the offense to answer, and they did. So,
yep. We'll get to the offense here in a second. I do have a question for you. So, we haven't got pressure in a while. Shep finally got pressure, but I gotta be honest with you. In social media land, and maybe I'm just not seeing it. If AG would have been through this streak, people would have wanted him fired. I didn't see a lot of Shep hate. Did you see a lot of that, or did you hear any of that, or did you have any thoughts about the whole Shepard and not getting pressure? Or
you're talking about it just in general, saying, like in the weeks leading up to this game?
Yeah, the weeks leading up. Like I didn't see as much hate as my thoughts, if AG is, in charge like this year, like say he didn't get the Jets and he's still in charge of the defense, there'd be people calling for his head. They would have not liked that, but I did not see people calling for Shep's head. So I was wondering what your thoughts on that were.
True. I mean, maybe they've got, just a certain sort of rookie, like it's his first year. Maybe he's got a little bit of wiggle room versus AG had been here for a little bit and people were already kind of growing tired. But Shep's had a pretty good season, for what we've been dealt with as well. And I mean, coached a good game against the Buccaneers, The Vikings, they really didn't give up too much. The Commanders, it's been these chunk plays and these third downs and different things that have been kind of killing us. But yeah, you're right. We give up a ton of yards to the Giants. We lose to the Packers. We needed to answer. And I mean, the pressure is nice. It's great. I mean, it would happen at big moments. Had this been against a team with a regular, like normal kicker, they probably would not have been as close as they were, because not all of these are just, guaranteed kicks.
Right.
That could be like a 12-point difference there. And then the game looks way different. And if he's missing them, then we're starting, from the 50-yard line where he's kicking it from. So that all goes into play too. But I mean, this is still, I think it's the second most yards we've given up this season.
It's the number one offense. I figured we were going to give up yards, and the fact that they were playing from behind, they had to do that. And so they gave up long drives, but it's the sacks that, like, those are drive enders, man, or it's drive stallers, and so it's okay to give up explosives when you're stopping other drives and getting turnovers. You could afford to do all that stuff. I think what I liked is that we sacrificed some of the run defense to get a little more pressure, more immediate pressure, and took the reins off of, and put AQM in and let him go. It was, I was waiting, like, the way that game started was James Houston got a sack for the Cowboys, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna hear about it. Like, we're gonna hear that we got rid of James Houston, and now he leads the Cowboys in sacks. But I don't know if you noticed this. The one, like, it was like the second drive, Gibbs had a huge screen pass out in the flat, and it was James Houston did not lock him down on the edge, just blew right by Gibbs, and then so, like, it was like the stuff that we would see in Detroit where, Houston's very good at rushing the passer, but he's not very good at everything else. And, Lions just don't like players like that. But, Houston beat Sewell for a sack, and I was like, oh my God, this is just looks terrible when we're not getting pressure, and, a Castaway's getting sacks on Penei Sewell.
Right. Well, I mean, we talked about it in the preview. Like, it's bad enough that he's on the team, right? Like, he was on our practice squad. He was on the team. He kind of went back and forth, but now here he is on this Cowboys team and playing pretty well. And then for the first drive for him to get a sack, like, please don't tell me this is going to be like another, like, breakout game for James Houston, but it was not. He came back down to earth. He got a roughing the passer penalty that was pretty costly, I believe, later in the day.
Yeah, he didn't play a lot of snaps either. So, I mean, you just look at it, and they were short on edge because Clowney was out too. So it is what it is. Houston's very good at rushing the passer, but he's also going to give up huge plays in the run game, or, like, in this case, it was a screen game. Anything
Real
else
quick.
on
Yeah, I've got a couple more things. Just I got to shout out Jack Campbell again. So Jack Campbell's still playing at an all-pro level, still, like, doing just such an amazing job. 12 tackles and a sack, almost a safety, a hair away from having a safety. But, they're sending him at random times and creating some pressure, and he gets in there very, very fast. And I mean, he's just so quick at closing in on the ball. He had a punch out as well, right? I don't have that on here, but that,
he had the punch out. We had that. Yeah, that was
another classic punch out from him. I don't know if it was him, but I feel like it was him. Somebody we tried to punch out the ball, but we missed, and we just punched the receiver, whoever it was, like, directly in the neck, like in the back of the neck. It was like, that had to have hurt. It's like, that's what they're trying to, because they've got this threat of, like, we're going to throw the flags if you punch and miss. It's like a direct shot to this guy's neck.
Oh, man.
I don't know if it was Jack. It might have been a Meek, because if it was Jack, he might actually hurt somebody really bad. But another great game from Jack Campbell. One other thing I want to talk to you about, I know the refs, but I mean, Anzalone got away with a hold or a defensive pass interference, right? I mean, whatever you want to call it, a hold, a defensive pass interference, or whatever, he got away with one. Them, like, throwing the flag, them picking up the flag would have been horrible. That would have been, like, almost the worst thing that could have happened. But then instead, they keep the flag and say, actually, it's on the offense.
Yeah.
That's the worst, like, and that's kind of what, obviously, the Cowboys fans have kind of stuck on, because that was a huge moment where they could have got the ball right there at the one or got closer, and then instead they call it on the offense. Which when you slow down and super slow mo, you can kind of see maybe he's grabbing on to Anzalone a little bit, but that's so incidental, and there's just no way they saw that live, and that's what they're going with. So I mean, what are your thoughts there? Like, do you think that was a good call? Do you think they got screwed? Do you think this
Well,
is payback for the playoffs?
I don't know. If you look at there was a funny Twitter exchange on Alex Anzalone. So Alex Anzalone tweets about that
I
play,
saw.
and then some guy under the comments, like the first comment I saw was, um, "I don't know what game you're watching, bro, but the it was like, bro, he is the player, you idiot." And it
Yeah,
was just so I laughed so hard about that. It was just so funny. Uh, Yeah, I think the Lions got away with one there. Although Alex Anzalone just swears he was pulled because he's like, my body doesn't turn that way. However, I think the perception is that flag was thrown, like everyone just assumes defensive pass interference, right? So then when they flip it and call on the offense, we decline the penalty. So I mean, you could say either so the flag on them didn't matter. Only mattered is if you thought it was defensive pass interference. Like that'd be the only case because we declined the penalty, but they end up kicking the field goal, right, to get within one score. Um, so because at that point it was 10 points, so they got within one score. Yeah,
right.
I don't know. I didn't think it
Which was
was egregious
interesting.
pass interference, defensive pass interference though either. I mean, they could have called that, but I didn't think it was like did you think it was that bad? Did you think Alex should have been called?
It looked like, well, I mean, obviously because the flag was thrown when you're looking at that play, if you don't
Mhm.
know what the outcome was and you're like, this is a penalty, who is this on? What is the call? Then, I mean, I think you would either have called PI or holding on Anzalone. But
Yeah.
you could have just, if they didn't throw the flag, you could have just said, well, they're just kind of hand fighting. They're letting them
Yeah.
play. Uh, but definitely for that, for the result to be offensive pass interference is just wild to me. Um, but it is what it is. It was interesting that we declined it though, right? So we declined the penalty. It would have made it
Mm.
3rd and 13. And
Yep.
instead we declined. It's going to be 4th and 3.
Yep.
And then, the Cowboys still, like I said, they will take these points. They'll take the kick, most of the time. And they did here to get within the touchdown. But were you surprised that they just decided to take the points there? And do you think Dan
Nah.
Campbell knew like they're going to take these points and that's why
I
we're not
think
going
that's
to?
why he did it. I think that's why he
Right.
declined. Because I think either way, like he thought, okay, if they go for it on 4th and 3, then we can end the game right here. So like I think at some point, like he's thinking, because I don't like giving them another chance. I know that CD's out by this point, but Florida is still kicking our butt like deep. And you still got Pickens. I know Pickens didn't have a great game, but you still got to worry about that. And
True. Right.
that's a very high potent offense. So I think I'm with Dan. I probably would have declined it either way. If they go for it and they don't get it, then we can end the game right there. If they do the field goal, okay. But if they go and score a touchdown, even then we're still up. We're not giving up the lead. Now, if it's a one score game, like we're up by 7, I probably take the penalty there because they're probably going to go for it. Can't remember how much time is left in the game at that point, but I think
Three
it's
three
like
fifty, three
so he's
fifty.
probably
So yeah.
going for it, right? Like if you're down by 7 there, I think you probably go for it as opposed to down by 2 scores. You're just hoping to get within one. You're hoping your defense gets a stop, and obviously they didn't. So
Right. They did not. 42
yeah.
yard kick return by Tom Kennedy,
Hmm.
37-yard catch by Amon Ra, and then another run. It was another thing that was like, man, we almost scored too quick. Now they still get the 2-minute warning and everything.
Yeah, I wanted let's move on to the offense because we've been talking for a
Yeah,
while
yeah.
here. So like that I'll just because of what you said, that's a good segue. When I looked at the drive summaries, w- this was like a lot of like how I know we would have some long drives, but there was a lot of drives the last couple seasons where it's like 4 plays, 2 minutes, and we're scoring. And that's how this game went. And I was really surprised that we were able to to be able to have that way with Cowboys defense have been playing a lot better, and we were just having our way with it. And a lot of success. We were not very successful in the run game. However, Dave Montgomery had that long run, and Jameer, in the second half, he was getting some 10-yard runs for touchdowns. So we had enough success to keep them honest. But I thought Jared Goff and the protection was really good for a vast majority of that game.
Absolutely. It made a huge difference. Him having time, I think the play calling and everything worked out. It was just a solid offensive game for sure.
Hmm.
What
We
did you think? Real quick, just want to start with
Yeah,
this, just because this is
yeah.
while we're talking about the line holding
Hmm.
up and everything. So, Miles Frazier, we see Miles
No.
Frazier and Tristan Colon.
Yeah.
So kind of similar, like Sonic and Knuckles taking turns, handling the rock. You've got Cologne and Frazier splitting time at left guard. First, like, what are your thoughts? I don't recall ever seeing something like this where they take turns on these different drives like that. Uh, I like the continuity, and it seems like they work better as a unit when they are all, like you get the same group of guys and get them working well together. Um, but they shuffle those two guys out. So, like overall, what are your thoughts about that?
So my first inclination is that Cologne is serviceable, but they want something more. And so they're like, you know, they're going to put in Miles Frazier. He must be showing enough in practice that they felt comfortable that he could hold his own because they're not going to put him in there. This is a must-win game. It's not like
Right.
we have time to mess around here. So my feeling is that and also Cologne let up a lot of pressures earlier in that game. He seemed to play a little bit better later on. Maybe them pulling him for Frazier lit a little fire under Cologne and said,
Yeah.
because I was shocked when I saw Frazier in there. I was like, well, that's weird that he's only been practicing for like 3-4 weeks. He didn't even get training camp. Um, so it's like
Right.
I don't even like. I was shocked. You had to be shocked. I'm assuming.
Oh yeah. I mean, I noticed when he was out there right away, but then my first thought was Cologne got hurt. And I
Yeah,
was like, well, here you go. It's time to show what you have now. Like, I didn't think he was gonna. It's a tall task to be like, hey, rookie, I know you've hardly practiced and everything like that. We're trying to get you up to speed. We need you to go guard Quinn and Williams, though.
yeah,
keep
I
keep
know.
our quarterback safe. We need to run. Here's Quinn and Williams, Kenny Clark, Odigizua, like all very, very good defensive
Hmm.
linemen. And you know, Frazier for the most part held his own. He did have a couple of false start penalties. I
Right.
know he gave
Yeah.
up a pressure or two, but I didn't think it was a bad game. And it seems like he did show enough where possibly maybe getting another look here. But Cologne, like, I didn't really notice much early on from him. I noticed when he was out of the game when Frazier was there. Because that was when when we had that run from like the 1 yard line, they ran it right behind Frazier and he had a good block. Um, but I like at the very end, like that 13-yard run from Gibbs for the touchdown. Cologne pulled. Cologne
Yes.
pulled and had like a one-on-one block and set up that block for the touchdown. So
Hmm.
you
Yep.
know, maybe it's not a bad thing that they're keeping some fresh legs, rotating them in and out.
Yeah. I mean I think it's promising in one angle that they're giving Frazier a look. Like that means that he's shown enough that they trust him in this position. However, it's a shame that we have to. Like you would hope that Cologne would be able to step in there, but obviously, Awasiko's out. We're on third guard, right? So it's like
Right, right.
you know, what can you expect from these guys? But that being said, I mean, outside of the two false starts by Frazier and then Ratledge had a false start too. Um, that those we got to get that cleaned up. However, Goff had plenty of time to make plays, and I wanted to ask you: the first play went to Amon Ra. Do you think that was on purpose? Do you think they were like, we're just gonna show that Amon Ra's got it, and we're gonna get him involved very early on, or do you think that he happened to be open on that play?
I think a lot of these are designed to go to Amon Ra, right? He's the
Hmm.
first look on a lot of these plays, and I think that was just lined up. I think maybe not like we're gonna get it to Amon Ra to show that he's still here or whatever, but I do think that this was like, hey, he's out here, it's business as usual. We're gonna feed him the ball.
Yeah.
So I don't think that they, had any sort of special like let's get this first one to him real quick. I think it was just like, hey, this offense, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, he looked good too. Like if I didn't know he was injured before the game, I would have never known that he had, a pretty severe ankle injury from the previous game. Because he looked good. I was holding my breath after that first catch though. Like after, he
Yes, right.
got tackled or pushed out of bounds. I can't remember exactly how that went down, but I was like, okay, he's walking pretty good. And then even in that fourth quarter, you talked about it, like they had that crosser and he took it. He had another crosser earlier in the game that he got a lot of yak on too. So he played way better than I expected. And played way more snaps than I expected, to be honest with you.
Right, right. I mean, but it was so huge to be able to have him out there.
I know. Yes. It was great, and it got all the wide receivers in the position they want, they should have been. But one thing that was awesome was JMO still had a really good game, right? I mean, he did that comeback route, which we've been
Yes.
wanting. Like that is so hard for someone to be running at full speed to have enough strength to stop and get back. It is impossible to defend one on one, in my opinion, unless you're going to totally take the gamble and let him fly by you. And okay, so start guarding that short one, and then Jared Goff will just throw it right up to you, and that'll be the 60-yard bomb. That that play is so tough, and the only that's the pass interference. He had one on the sideline. It was a stop route, and they grabbed him so he couldn't get his shoulder turned to get squared to the ball to catch it. Like on that pass interference play that we talked about earlier, it was the same type of thing. Like he's running, you got to respect that speed, and now he's strong enough in his lower body to stop himself and just turn around and you know him and Goff, we had to rely on him with in the Packers game when Amon-Ra got hurt early, and I'm hoping that we're paying dividends as the trust level goes up between them, and Dan Campbell trusts to call different routes for him.
Yeah. I mean, you're right with the comeback thing. Like, if Jared Goff has time and they've got the timing down, you can't stop that. If you're in single coverage and Jamison Williams is running full speed, I mean, as a corner, you're keeping your eyes on him. But once he gets past you and you turn your hips, if he's running full speed, you have to get to full speed to catch up to him. And it's going to take you an extra second to get to full speed. And then once you're running full speed, he's stopping like on a dime. And you just can't time that up right. You cannot defend that if it's timed perfectly. And that was an awesome play.
Couple things I want to say hi to Passing Time. They showed up. So what's going on,
Passing
guys?
time.
Yeah, it's up. Check out their show. Another great Lions podcast. Two guys just like us, fans that talk about football. So I highly recommend them. And then we have another question. Jacob, we're talking about the offense, but what's your favorite touchdown this season? Do you have one?
You know, maybe a little bit of recency bias, I guess, but the Jameer Gibbs, the overtime, the first one, that's what I would go with.
That's pretty sweet touchdown. Yeah, I don't know which one I would like. I My mind's on that Demo one that he just had in the Cowboys game. I love those type of runs where he's almost getting pulled down and then he just powers away. Plus, they broke the record with that one, so that was awesome.
Right.
That was awesome to see. I'd have to think about it further, but there, the JMO deep in that Chicago game, there was some fun stuff. But it's probably I think that Jameer won in overtime just because also I was there, so that's a great pick there too.
Right.
I like that. All right, let's get back to this Cowboys game. Uh, we One thing that it reminded me of offenses past is that we talked about the Frazier had the false start. There was also a hold, so we started a drive on 1st and 25. That's when we did the JMO comeback route. That was on second down. So 1st and 25. Earlier in the season, we stall out on that, right? We're
Yes.
not getting that. So I think we go to Amon-Ra for like 8-9 yards, and then we do the comeback route to JMO. We get the first down, we go down. It was, it just felt like this is the explosive offense that we're used to. Like we could just go right down the field and you can't really stop us if we're doing what we should, be doing. We talked to like Dan Campbell said so much this season that like we are stopping ourselves either through penalties or missed assignments or something like that. Things seem to be going. I don't know if it's a sense of urgency that where we're at in the season and we need these games to get in the playoffs, but we're going to need another game where we're clicking against the Rams, both offensively and defensively. So it was good to see that.
Yes. I mean, this is this was a warm up game compared to what that one's going to be. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, as of right now, though, the Lions have moved into first place in scoring offense. I don't know if you knew that, but
Mm-hmm. Yep.
because we outscored the Cowboys, we slowed them down. Now we're the number one scoring offense in the league. So
Yep. I
the
mean,
offense has
for
not
as
went
much as
anywhere. We're
we've
not
had
missing
worries
Ben
about
Johnson.
them, as much as we
Yeah.
have worries about the offense, we're the highest scoring. I know when we talk to these other, when we get like the Commanders guys on there, like you guys are complaining about your offense. It's honestly the big thing this season has been just complementary football. Our, when our offense is playing well, our defense isn't playing well, or we're giving up big special teams plays. And I thought the first half of this Cowboys game was the best complementary football between special teams, defense, getting turnovers, offense scoring off the turnovers, special teams setting up the offense for good plays. I thought the first half of this Cowboys game was one of the best, if not the best, that we played all year. I think the Bucks, we had some really good stuff going on too. But as far as like all three phases working together, I think that was how I want to see the rest of the game, the rest of the season go. We're gonna
Yeah.
need, halves like that.
Well, this was the best game that we've had in special teams all year,
Mm-hmm.
and that's with the field goal block. So I mean,
Yeah,
a lot of things went our way.
did. Talk about complimentary football, get two, the three turnovers. The one, sealed the game. That was at the end of the game. But the other two, we get 14 points off those turnovers. I mean, that's gigantic to get 14 points. We were getting turnovers earlier in the season, but we were getting stalled out. And this, to get 14 points just totally turned that game around.
Yes, definitely. I mean, that's what we said before. We needed to see more turnovers. We need to see more points off the turnovers. We need to see more happen, and they did it. I mean, that's how you win football games, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get these turnovers, and you make the team pay. And
Yeah.
we were getting the turnovers early on. We weren't making pay. We were kind of shooting ourselves in the foot when we had the opportunity right in front of us, and that didn't happen this time. We showed out despite like that one that you were talking about. I think Skipper had a hold when Ratledge had the false start, but that was off the fumble. I think like we had just
Yep.
recovered the fumble. We get
Yep.
momentum going our way, and then now it's 1st and 25 or second
Yep.
and 25 or whatever it'd been. So yeah, just way to respond. Our back was against the wall. Everybody was feeling like the pressure. Like I think the mood inside the building is different. They always feel like they're going to compete, always feel like they're going to win. We're going to be able to do good each week. But now it kind of, I think the realization set in like maybe we don't control our own destiny right now if we lose this game. So we've got to win. The playoffs start here. We got to win here on out.
Mm-hmm.
Now if you look at the playoff models, we can afford to lose a game as long as it's not against the Bears, but we don't want to leave anything up to chance. We've got to take care of business now.
Yep. 100%. And Bears play the Packers. Obviously, they played on Sunday. Depending on your wish, the Bears losing helped us for playoffs overall, but did not help us for the division. So if you had hopes for the division, it's still not. It still can happen. Bears play the Packers again. They could lose there, and then the Packers could lose another game, and I think we might be all right. But we have to go undefeated the rest of the way, which that's not going to be an easy thing to do. So
We
I
take care
just
of
want to.
business and they lose. We need to root against them every time.
Yeah, I just want to get into the playoffs at this point, and then we can let the cards go. Because if we're playing hot, like to get the playoffs, like you said, we're basically going to have, we go 4-1 to end the season, and I'll be happy with that. Like I would feel really good going to the playoffs like that, and especially you're going to have to beat Minnesota and Chicago on the road.
Right.
And Minnesota, I don't know, JJ McCarthy, I don't know what JJ McCarthy we're going to get. They scored 31 points last weekend, but if we could get the JJ McCarthy everyone calls the worst quarterback in the league, that I'll be okay with that.
Yeah, right. I don't know where that's coming from, but we need to see it. We need to make him look that bad.
Exactly.
Can't be letting him rush for touchdowns against us.
No. Well, we just need to, we need to manage to get some turnovers from them, and we also just need to stop with special teams. We shot ourselves in the foot that game. Dan Campbell won't let that happen. We'll get that figured out. Dan Campbell wasn't calling plays on that. So, is
Right.
there anything else on
Yeah, real
offense?
quick before we move on,
Yeah.
just a couple, not necessarily just about this game, but about the bodies of work that we have. So Jameer Gibbs reached 47 career touchdowns, which ties Barry
Hmm.
Sanders for the most touchdowns scored in NFL history through 3 career seasons, which also ties Barry Sanders for most touchdowns scored before the age of 24 in NFL
Hmm.
history. So everyone that doubted the Jameer Gibbs pick or didn't understand it when it happened, you have officially been silenced. You know, he, you know, you would think he's probably going to hopefully score a few more touchdowns before the season's over and, break that
Hmm.
record. Um, David Montgomery played limited snaps, but he had 6 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown. He had that huge
Yeah.
breakaway one. So, I mean, that was not a bad game for him. I think he only played like 18 or 19 snaps. But, so they both scored a touchdown in the same game. That was the 15th time, which I know you already mentioned, the most games in which each member of a running back duo has produced a touchdown. Um, just more accolades, more awesome things about the Lions. Amon Ra, I'm sure you saw most of this stuff, but for anyone that didn't, Amon Ra established a new record for most receptions through 5 seasons in NFL history.
Hmm.
So the previous record belonged to Michael Thomas, 110 receptions through 5 seasons. Amon Ra now has 511, and he still gets a few more games, to add on a few more receptions to that record. And the last thing I have, Amon Ra and JMO are actually Detroit's first set of teammates to log 800 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns through the first 13 games of a season. Detroit's first set of teammates since 1995. Do you know who did it in 95?
Perriman and Moore, right?
There you go. Herman Moore
Yeah.
and Brett Perriman.
Oh, believe me, I remember that offense. That was dynamite. You had Barry back there. Oh my god, that was a fun time. We couldn't stop anybody, but man, it was fun
Well,
on
this is
offense.
a fun time, right? Now we're stopping people.
I know it is. Yeah, I I know this has been an up and down roller coaster season. I was actually chatting with Jeremy Reisman about that. Like he's been a true roller coaster season of emotions for all of us, I think. But this is the time where I'm gonna change. The title of this one is "Change the Narrative." This is the time that we're gonna change the narrative on this season. We're not gonna end the season. We're not gonna be out of the playoffs like the Chiefs. We are going to, excel, and this is what we got to do. If we go into the playoffs with a 4-0, the end of the season at 4-1 or 5-0, I mean, no one's gonna want to face us in the playoffs. We are going to be set, and I'm confident going in. This will go a long ways now. I hope that we make this game competitive. I hope that we win, and I think that we have a very good chance at winning versus the Rams. And we'll talk about this in our preview podcast. But Stafford obviously scares me. He's just playing at an MVP type level this season. But I think the Lions defense matches up well with what the Rams want to do. So hopefully we could take advantage of that.
Right. Hey, we're going to find out.
Yep. So we'll record that Thursday night into Friday. But before that, before we leave here, let's talk about our roar alert. Both of us hit on this one, I would say. I had Jamison Williams led the Lions with receiving yards, 96 yards, 7 catches, had some really key catches to get first downs that comeback route we talked about. That was super awesome. And you had Jared Goff, 25 for 34, 309, 1 TD. The only miss that I would say that I wish we had back was that Tesla throw right before the half. Like I really
Yes.
wish that would have been an awesome touchdown. God, that couple that with us getting a touchdown at the, get the interception, get a touchdown. Oh my
Hey,
God.
right.
Oh, it would have been
That'd have been over up
killer,
there.
killer. But
Right. 300 plus yards, only the one touchdown, but I mean, you let Gibbs do most of the work. Yeah.
exactly. Someone's got to hand off to him. But no, Jared Goff he was on point. He had time, making great decisions. We got 3 turnovers for them. He did not turn the ball over. He was on point, and I would have liked, like, I for sure that where he threw to Tesla, he threw it like on the outside there. He knew that he couldn't afford to take a sack. Like that would have put him out of field goal range, and I think that's why he rushed that throw. Because after I watched it back a couple times, I was like, he had time. He could have thrown that one, but I feel like he was like, I know I can't take a sack here. I gotta get rid of the ball, and we'll take our 3 points, which, you know, it's fine. That's the decision he make. But I really would have loved to see Tesla get that touchdown. He was wide open because the cornerback fell.
Yeah.
Dan says, thanks, guys. I'm glad to be able to catch you live. Been busy. All the best and go Lions. Dan, thanks for chatting with us today. We missed you on the chat.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you'd be able to catch us live. So great Lions fan. Dan is always involved with a lot of Lions podcasts. He's always got good comments, great questions. Just seems like a positive dude all around. So thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Our great guarantee, I said 2+ sacks. Man, I should have went out and went 4+ sacks, right? We got 5, but I'll take, I'll take my win. You,
You
however,
should have,
said,
but you always love to play it safe. Like what
yeah.
can
Hey, we hadn't had a sack in a while, like 2+ sacks. That was asking for a lot, and then we got one really early on, and I was like, first couple series, I was like, okay, well, only one more, I'm feeling good. But they came in bunches, luckily for us. You
right?
said someone's going to score their first touchdown in this game. That did not happen, but we scored enough touchdowns to score 44 points, I think it was 44, right? So that,
Yeah,
uh,
early, like Ross Dwelly caught the ball. I think like the
mhm,
first drive.
yeah,
Ferkser, had a catch as well. I was like, they might catch them in the end zone here. And
yeah.
then, Derek Barnes had the interception. I was like, go man, go all the way.
I thought for sure he was going to score when he caught that. I didn't like. He said that he was
Right.
cramping up or something because, like, I was like, who else is back there? Like, he should be able to score. He did not look like he'll be taking over for a tight end for us.
You get stiff armed by Jameis Winston and hit the ground, and then you get tackled by Dak Prescott.
Yeah. Ugh.
That's okay though. I'm all right
No.
with that. Great guarantee
Hey,
failing.
we scored 2 plays later, so it's all good. Um, you got anything else? Any final thoughts, Jacob?
I don't, man. We're moving on. Good win, but we've got to bring it against LA.
I know. It's a big one. It's huge. 4:25 on Sunday, so it's be waiting a little bit longer. Kind of surprised it didn't at some point move this ahead, but maybe the Lions weren't winning enough at that point to move this to a Sunday night game. Um, and then, but it's all good. I'll be looking forward to it. Um, yeah, like I said, we'll be back on Friday morning. We'll release a podcast with Sheriff Joe Bags. We'll go through the Rams. That's going to be a fun matchup. There's a lot of good Rams are a very good, talented team. But how great would it be to win against them? Like
Oh
it
yeah,
would change
in LA,
this. Oh
like
my god, it would just change.
good
What?
again for Jared Goff. Good for the season. Like,
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
regardless, it goes a long way with the win here. But I mean, this could not be the only time we play the Rams this year, right? So
yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I'm sure that there's going to be plenty of Lions fans out there. Um, maybe more if we would have been winning, like our record would have been a little bit better. I don't know, but I still, LA, it's almost every one of their games is like a road game out there, and with the way Lions fans travel, we could, you know, it could have an impact on this game.
yeah, it was interesting watching the Chargers and Eagles game. And it was like when the Eagles did something good, it was like all of a sudden the crowd got really loud. I was
Yeah,
like, what? It's supposed to be a home game for them. What the heck?
yeah.
I've heard that there's just too many interesting things to do in LA that they
Hmm.
don't just wait around for football.
Yeah, they don't. A lot of transplants too. Fan
Uh,
transplants that go out there. But I don't know. I'm just thankful for having the crowd at Ford Field because it's always live in there. And the next time I'm in there, I'm gonna be rooting against Aaron Rodgers, which will be. I might not have a voice afterwards, man.
Perfect. Yeah.
All right. Before we take off, have you seen any more '80s movies?
I have not watched any more 80s movies,
Okay. All right.
actually.
I watched Terminator. Have you seen the first Terminator?
We talked about this last time, I think.
Did we? Okay. I couldn't
Because
remember.
I have, but like I think not enough where I could differentiate Terminators from each
The
other.
two. Okay.
I like take moments from each one probably and have put them all into one movie in my brain to where I couldn't
Okay.
even tell you the exact plot or like what happens in what movie.
Which one did you see first? Did you see T2 first or the original?
What year do you think that came out?
Well, the T2 came out 91. So I mean, you would have
Okay,
been
so
like,
I was a year old. I was 1
right,
year old
exactly.
when
But
that
I'm
came
just
out.
wondering, like, uh,
This was probably
because
when I was between the ages of like 12 and 15, probably when I saw whatever ones that I saw. So I don't
yeah,
remember at all.
because it's fun. So the first one, obviously Arnold comes back. He's the bad guy, right? So he's like the Terminator trying to kill Sarah Connor. Now, the second
So
one,
I
it
think the
flips.
second one is the one that I saw where because the cop,
Robert
the bad
Patrick
one that's the
is
okay.
T1000. He's the liquid metal,
See,
the bad guy.
that's
Yeah.
when I think of Terminator. That's what I think of in my head.
Okay.
So maybe I
So
have not seen the first one.
yeah.
I can't say that with 100% certainty.
Okay. So it's really interesting because like when the ads and stuff came out in this 91, this is like before the internet. So like it was kept a secret that Arnold was the good guy in the second one. Everyone just assumed he was the bad guy. And you don't really see the interaction between him and John Connor until like, I don't know, it's a good like 15, 20 minutes into the movie. And then you finally realize, oh, Arnold's the good guy in this one. So there's like a generation of people that see this thing backwards, and you might be one of them where you're surprised to see the first one where Arnold's the bad guy.
See, that might be the case. Is the second, so is Terminator 2 the one at the end where he falls in, is it like lava or he's like in
yeah, where he goes in the liquid mold. Yeah, that one. He's
okay.
lowered down in chains, and and he says, "I know now why you cry."
Yeah, definitely need to rewatch those because no, I don't remember. Like, I'm trying to look to see when Terminator 3 came out because I feel like when I saw them was around like when that one had come out because that was coming out like the new.
Yeah, I don't know when that came out. That feels like a late '90s thing, but I'm not
So
sure on that.
Terminator franchise.
Yeah, the first one came out in
Terminator was
84.
84. Terminator 2 is 91. Terminator 3 was 2003.
Oh, 2003. Okay.
So I'd have been 13 when Terminator 3 came out. So that was probably
that's-
when I saw the other ones. And maybe I didn't think the first Terminator was any good, and I just stuck with the second one.
Yeah. I know everyone loves the second Terminator, and it is a good movie. But I don't know. The first one is there's just so like everything's practical in there. I mean, some of the special effects are really really dated. Like they do some of like stuff with stop motion. And so it looks
Stop motion in the Terminator?
in the Terminator, the first one with the robot. And so it kind of does look janky, but the stuff that they do, like he has to cut out his eye in the first one, it's pretty gruesome. And it was amazing how they were able to do all that in 1984 and make it look, decently believable. It's a great. Those are the first two are great. Everything after that is not so great.
I told you this is you just said decently believable.
Yes.
You just don't want to see the bad quality.
No, I know it's bad quality, but I think there's also for me there's some charm and like it being practical and tactile, like okay, this was like something they made, like a dummy that they made or whatever. And I mean, I get it, like not everything could be Marvel, like how it looks now, it's like crazy believable. But I also look at like there's stuff even in the Matrix, like especially the second one where he's fighting like 1,000 of those Smiths, and it all just looks like really bad CGI. Like it takes you right out of the movie just as much as I think bad makeup job in the early '80s could try to take you out of a movie. Now I'm used to that, so like for you and my boys, you didn't grow up in the '80s, so like there's no nostalgia factor. You don't have any concept with like that's how movies were back then. So I could kind of understand
Right.
I understand your viewpoint, but I have a different perspective on it and can appreciate it.
Sometimes I'll see like different TV shows and different things with the bad CGI, but then it's like, yeah, that's terrible, but it's kind of like funny terrible, and it's like, well, you know what? They made the most of whatever they had, and it's kind of just whatever. It's not like, oh god, this movie's terrible because this, explosion wasn't realistic. No, it's kind of more on the funny side when maybe it's not funny, but that is what it is. I just told you I always go back to my Batman thing, like trying to watch Batman, realizing what a terrible movie it was. And And then
Which
it's like,
one?
man,
The Batman and
Batman,
Robin? Oh, the
Batman and
one with
Robin
Arnold
with
Schwarzenegger, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Right.
Now, have you
When's the last
seen
time
that?
you saw that?
Oh, I don't know. I probably that one's X out of my mind, man. I don't even know when I last time I
Well,
saw that.
so how I don't know how old you were when that one came out, but you were probably old enough that right when you watched it, you were like, God, this is awful.
Yeah, it was. But
Well,
then
when
like,
I'm a kid, it's amazing. It was a great
yeah,
movie. They had the McDonald's cups, like everything awesome about
mm,
it. And then I tried to watch it as an adult and I didn't make it all the way through. I had to shut it
yeah.
off. It's like, this is terrible. It's like, it's tainted my memory of this.
Now I know that like you probably grew up. Dark Knight's probably Christian Bale's probably your Batman. I'm assuming. Like
Right.
that's when you
But,
think of Batman.
so I was older when that came out. But the thing was, there wasn't one Batman for multiple things like that, right? Like
Yeah.
George Clooney and Val Kilmer, like they all had one movie, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Michael Keaton
Except
was
for
the
Christian
first
Bale.
two. Michael
Right,
Keaton was the
right.
first two,
That
and
was
then it
before
was
I was
Bale.
born.
Yeah. Yep.
But so like when I was younger, that's what I'm saying. Val Kilmer had one movie, George Clooney had one movie,
Hmm.
and then Christian Bale had like the series,
Yep.
and then Robert Pattinson had the series that could have been.
Yeah. Well, then Ben Affleck was, Batman
I
too.
forgot about Ben Affleck. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Michael Keaton
who's your favorite
is
Batman? Michael Keaton.
who's my favorite one. You know, overall, I like the Christian Bale movies. Like overall, I like those. I like Michael Keaton as Batman because that was like the first time I had saw, other than the campy like what 70s TV show or whatever ever. But I remember like that movie came out in '89. I was 9 years old. That movie was like everyone wanted to go see that movie. It was first time they're going to do Batman right. I like Michael Keaton, but I would probably say I like the Christian Bale because I like those movies. I like Batman Begins, Dark Knight. The first time I saw that in the theater, I
Blown
mean,
away.
it's one of those movies that I had a visceral reaction to the Joker. He made me feel uncomfortable the whole time. I mean, it's like a PG-13 movie, but you didn't know what the heck that guy was gonna do. A lot of it was the music. I just that it was that was just a great
Phenomenal.
movie. It's amazing. Batman Begins snuck up on everybody because Batman Begins was the first Batman movie after the movie that you're talking about, like the Arnold Schwarzenegger one. So,
Yeah.
like, it had a very low box office. I did not see that one in the theater. I did not see Batman Begins in the theater. It was one of those ones that I bought the DVD and then, watched it, and I was like, dang, this is a really, really good movie. I really like this movie. And then, then the whole we were actually on vacation when Batman Dark Knight comes out. And normally I won't go see a movie when I'm on vacation. I'm there to do other things. But I was so excited for that movie that we planned like we had to drive like 45 minutes to a movie theater in Wisconsin
Dang.
to watch it.
And
But
it was worth every minute that you drove.
oh, I was just like totally blown away. And I kept uh scaring my wife because we were like in this house, we were like in the middle of the woods. So like I would just walk up the stairs and go, "Why so serious?" Got yelled at a few times, but you know how that is.
Right. Nice. Uh yeah, but that series was great. The Dark Knight
Hmm.
obviously is the best one, but I really like Tom Hardy as Bane
Oh yes.
in the following
Well,
one too. Like,
that opening sequence at Dark Knight Rises with the airplane, that is phenomenal. Love
yeah.
that. It might be one of my favorite things in the whole series. I just thought that was so well put together.
And I didn't like when I saw Dark Knight Rises, I did not see like too many like trailers or things ahead of time. I try not to it's different with Marvel movies now sometimes, but I try not to watch too many trailers because I feel like it gives too much away or I like
Mhm.
see different things. But so I had no idea how Tom Hardy, I didn't know the voice. Like I didn't know how he was going to talk as Bane.
Yeah.
So that was a surprise to me too. I was like, "Oh man, this is dope."
Yeah. I like the football field too, where Heinz Ward's running the kickback and
Yes.
then
Yep.
like it blows up behind him. Yeah, that's I really like I Dark Knight is the best movie. I think Dark Knight Rises is the third um of the trilogy, but I think that there's still some stuff that is kind of weird in that movie, but I do like that movie a lot. And I know that he got some weird like comments with the voice, but I liked he
I
was
thought it was
imposing.
good.
He was great. Um
Right. and it wasn't as good as Dark Knight. But if you think about it, it's it makes it even a little bit better of a movie that it wasn't a huge letdown because of how great that was. So
Hmm.
you think of how good Dark Knight was, you're like, okay, surely this one's going to disappoint, and it didn't
Yeah.
really. Like, no, it
No.
wasn't as good, but I thought it was a really good movie.
Yep.
But that being said, I never even saw. I own the Robert Pattinson the Batman, but I've not seen that.
You
And I've
haven't?
heard from several people that that is really good, and that could be up there with like not the Dark Knight, but like Batman Begins. I've heard that it's up there and that it's really good. But my thing, like what you already know this, I can't sit for 3 hours straight and watch a movie and
Yeah.
be in tune with everything that's happening. I have 4 kids. There's too many
Yeah.
things going on. There's no way I could dedicate that time. So I've started it like quite a few times, like just a handful of times, and I can't, I might get 30, 40 minutes into it, and then 7 days later when I have time to watch it again, I'm like, crap, I forgot what was going on.
Yeah. I like that movie. It is very dark. It seems like almost like a I don't know if you know the Martin Scorsese type movie, like a very gritty, dark movie. Um, and and even the Penguin was good. Now, did you see the Penguin HBO Max series? Because that was really good too.
I did not watch that, no.
Yeah, so
I
that
heard
was
that was
really
good, yes.
yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed that surprising ending with it, but it was really really
Funny
good.
story.
Yeah.
Before you move on, the Penguin, because when you said that, just reminded me, like, that was one of the earliest, like, nightmares and terrifying, like, events
Uh,
in my life is on HBO, the Michael Keaton Batman, Penguin, like,
oh.
bites off the nose or whatever.
Hmm.
So,
Yes.
yeah, me as, like, a 3-year-old or something like that, and somehow that's, like, a core memory of, being terrified.
That's funny that you said that because I remember being a little bit, yeah, like a little bit weird out. Now, does that where he has the black like running down his face in that too?
I think
Is
so, yeah.
yeah, like yeah, I remember that being that movie had like a lot of people because they were selling like kids' toys and everything for that, and that was a pretty gruesome movie.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for it. That's the only part I
Yeah,
remember. I'm sure I probably freaked out. I'm sure my parents shut it off, like,
that's funny because I'll tell you what, man, 80s movies. You talk about like what they used to put in 80s movies compared to like even 90s movies.
remember you
Oh
said
my
they didn't
god,
even have PG-13 back
they
then, right? It
didn't,
was
and it was crazy. Like Teen Wolf, they're like Teen Wolf is a PG movie, and there is like this makeout scene in a closet, and he's Michael J. Fox. It turns into a wolf, scratches her back. There's also like a sex scene like where you don't see any frontal or anything like that, but it's implied that she's naked because you just see her bare back, and then you hear him howl like a wolf. Like 2 minutes later, it was like wild what they would put like in a PG setting back then. Um, Even like Back to the Future, when you think about like some of the concepts that are in there, like it's
yeah.
essentially like rape. Like it's like
Right, right.
on top of the incest line, like things in the 80s, like they would just put all that stuff in a movie and you just, and your
And
parents would
according to
let you
Jason,
watch it.
this is a magical time. Much
It
better.
was- I learned so much, but there was no internet, man. Back then, you didn't, yeah, it was like you knew where to pause movies at certain times, that get, young
Nice.
man, you can figure it out.
Uh,
Curious. So, all right, man. I think we're ready to take off. So, uh, anything else before we head out?
nope. Appreciate
Huh.
everybody stopping in, chatting, hanging out,
Yep,
listening to us ramble on.
exactly. I always end with movies. So, at least lately, I guess. All right. For Jacob, I'm Jason.